Okay, great. So welcome everyone to today's session, uh, Introduction to Educational Escape Rooms. Again, I'm honored to have a VIP session. You know, this was scheduled, the university town hall was scheduled after this was scheduled. So I really appreciate you being here. We are recording this, so you can tell your colleagues or our colleagues that this is recording and based on your feedback and other, we'll do an encore presentation as well at a later date um, with that. So since it's a VIP, so just kind of keep it small. I know, Becky, you were mentioning before that you had one of your grad students working with you on escape rooms. So just curious, Adam, and Becky, if you want to elaborate more on that, if you've had any experience with escape rooms, even the real ones, which I have not had an escape room experience in the real room. I don't like to be locked up, never been arrested. Anything like that, not even in school suspension. So I'm a goody teacher. I don't like to be locked up physically. But you can feel free to share if anyone wants to share their experiences with escape rooms in any format, the real ones or educational ones, simulation.
Yeah, so I have had experience with the real ones at least twice. They're a lot of fun, Brandon. I highly recommend that you get acquainted with those, and especially in doing one of these sessions, it will help you to think about the session perhaps even differently than you are perceiving it currently. I have not yet been able to do an educational escape room, however, though it has been on my radar and something that I have wanted to try, just haven't gotten around to it. Part of the fun in this is the creativity, I think, but it's also a challenge in melding both education and the fun, right? Because especially in medicine, a lot of times the process is really important and not necessarily getting to the exact end answer, right? Whereas here, getting to the exact end answer is the most important piece so you can move on to the next stage of the puzzle, right? So I'm hoping that there will be a nice blending of these two concepts together, and I'm looking forward to see what you have together.
Okay, great, great. And thank you for everyone else who's joining. I see Tom and Rachel. Thank you again. And I have Lynette, also one of our other friendly neighborhood instructional designers. So just real quick, if you want to, you can take out your phone or your tablet and scan this QR code, and that'll give you the link to this Sway. I'm using Microsoft Sway for the presentation. And so as I make updates and tweak it for the next session, if you have this link, you'll have the updates, kind of the continuous improvement of the session. Or if you need to leave early, you can still go through this on your own as well with that. And so, Rachel and Tom, is anything you wanted to share about your existing experience or interest in educational escape rooms?
I have no experience with it. I'm looking forward to finding out a lot more about it because I'm starting from ground zero. I came because Adam recommended it, frankly, and
Okay,
I'm going to be
thanks, Adam.
see what happens here.
Yeah, as you know, Brandon, in the medical school, we have an onslaught of different activities that we do with cases. And so we're excited to see if this is another method that we could add to the mix.
Okay, great. And I'll talk some more about that as again as we go. Rachel, can you hear us? Did you have anything you'd like to say? And Natasha?
Hi. Yes, I am excited to learn more. I am a capstone student, and it sounds like my mentor, who's also on this call, is interested in implementing this into her course design. So I'm here to learn more. I'm very unfamiliar as well.
Yeah, and I'm Natasha. I'm also actually I'm a student working under Dr. Ozelli as well. And I'm in the process of creating a digital escape room right now using Google Slides and Forms. So right now I've just been leveraging YouTube videos I've seen from other teachers that have just like provided their perspective and tips online. So really looking forward to see it more so from a healthcare perspective.
Okay, great, great. And just for the people who do not know me, especially the students, I am not a clinician, although I do have a significant background in telemedicine and informatics from an engineering, IT perspective. I'm an instructional designer now, so kind of a geeky person and a people person working. And speaking of instructional design, we also have Laura Smith, who's our newest instructional designer. So we'll go ahead and move along. Feel free to ask questions at any point. Laura and Lynette, I appreciate if you let me know if we have questions with that, and we'll move right along. So this is just a little housekeeping of the objectives. So this session is short, so just to give you an experience so that at the end of this session, you'll be able to list some of the practices, the evidence-based practices or best practices for creating and implementing educational escape rooms, and to be able to apply some of those practices as well with that. So hopefully by the end of this, you'll be somewhat armed and dangerous, if you will, and will at least have an experience of being in a educational escape room, digital educational escape room. Here's our contact information if you need to follow up about this session or anything else. Also want to point out our colleagues in the SEM Center. You want to talk with them. One of the things that you'll see in the space of educational escape room, especially in our area of healthcare and medical education, is integrating the simulation resources. So everything from task trainers all the way up to the full SEM Center suites and the even at the hospital site. And what is it, in situ? I'm learning all these medical terms. In situ at the hospital bed as well, or clinical site as well. Some of these resources also, there's a lot of resources. So you want to reach out to the librarian if you want to find some more of the articles for the evidence-based support for using escape room. There's a lot of research going on with that, and pretty positive for the most part. And then the other IT3 class as well. So I'm going to start out just for, like I said, I'm experienced with educational escape rooms, but I have not physically been in one. Adam, maybe we can go together. I trust you, so you can maybe look out for me if I go to one. So I'm going to play a short little video clip just to make sure everyone that understands or has seen at least a video of a real escape rooms. And these have been starting to gain a lot of popularity and a big financial ventures. They started kind of like in the early 2000s in Japan and in Europe, and have really gotten a lot of steam here in the US lately as well. So I'm going to play this video clip. Please let me know if you don't hear it or don't see it.
An escape room lets you feel like you're the star in the final act of a blockbuster action movie. It works like this. You, your friends, and your family get locked inside of a room. It usually has the theme of a place you want to escape from, such as a nuclear fallout shelter, the lab of a mad scientist, or a locked room filled with your family. Once you're given the mission, the countdown starts. You have to race against the clock, pooling all of your collective problem and puzzle-solving skills to find clues, crack codes, and get out before the countdown hits 0. Everything you need to escape is in the room with you. It's just up to you and your crew to work together and figure it out. Need a few tips? Divide up the room so you can cover more ground. Remember, there's always more than meets the eye. Never assume that a clock is just a clock. A lamp, just a lamp. A wall, just a wall. And your brother is just your brother, who doesn't still hold a grudge against you for mushing gum into his hair the night before school picture day and isn't sabotaging the whole afternoon just to get back at you. Work together, and you'll figure it out. Or you won't. Either way, you'll have fun trying.
And I should know, even though you may see these commercial products and videos or whatever, I have no disclosures to report. So this is not being paid or by anyone or sponsored by anyone other than Rush. And so that's kind of a quick overview of the traditional, if you will, escape rooms in there. So looks like fun, and I may have to take you up on that offer to go. So now I'm going to kind of get closer to what we're talking about. So I'm going to show you a quick clip of some nursing faculty, clinical nursing faculty, who are using escape rooms. They had originally planned to kind of do this in person, and when COVID hit. So I want you to hear from some clinical colleagues at Ohio State.
So while we were brainstorming, we were like, maybe we could use the iPads and sort of make it a digital break room. And then they would be in groups with their iPads, and they would have to use different skills they've learned along the semester to solve the different codes to get out of the room. You know, more of a fun way. And we had already been working on this for 2 months when kind of this situation happened where we were going to go all online. And so that didn't really change what we're doing as much. We just kind of have to tweak and monitor, modify, change it just a little bit.
Our course is all about evidence-based practice. So there are 7 steps to evidence-based practice that they've learned throughout the courses of the semester. And so they'll get to practice that by going to the health sciences library in the escape room, finding this article, and then they focus on kind of the information that we've taught them about research and understanding research. We can screen mirror and just become a lot more creative. I love the way that we've been able to change up our teaching and become innovation from the digital flagship. I mean, it's just been absolutely incredible. You know, the same old thing online can get kind of boring, I think, for students and for professors or grades. So we're just trying to think of something that's different and gets the point across, but allows that learning to really occur.
Okay. And then finally, I do want to show you, because I think this is really a great opportunity for us here at Rush post-COVID, is an a simulation-based educational escape room where you can use various simulation resources. And so to share this quick little video snippet of a colleague who's done escape rooms with their simulation resources.
Hi, my name is Janine Valco, and I'm a simulation education manager for Allegheny Health Network. Escape rooms offer a wonderful environment to help build problem-solving skills, clinical skills, communication skills, and leadership skills. The simulation escape room is a gamification modality. Participants come into the room, the door locks behind them, and the participants are given the challenge to solve puzzles and complete tasks. What inspired me to start using simulation escape rooms was first that the foundation in the simulation center is the perfect setting. Everything is there. The nuts and bolts are there for you to go ahead and build. But not only that, some of the education that we offer, it seems to get stale. So we wanted to provide a gamification concept in learning. Learners actually love the escape room modality. Initially, they're a little bit apprehensive, but after they go through it, they have so much fun and they're so engaged while they're opening the puzzles and completing the tasks. Tips for creating a simulation escape room would really be to sit down and go through exactly what learning objectives you'd like to complete and accomplish. One other thing that I would certainly recommend is that if you have the opportunity to go visit an escape room, a public escape room, you would get great ideas to help develop your own escape room. What I would offer to folks that are kind of concerned about beginning an escape room is to try to keep it small, to build a script to start with, and then a puzzle that would attach to each step of the script. Simulation escape rooms positively influence learning outcomes because it's a gamification in learning, and we've learned that game-based learning creates fun in learning and it makes learning stick.
Okay, great. And so, and I will add, I won't play another video, but I will say that the escape rooms are infiltrating all types of education, from elementary school through professional development, corporate development. One of our professional organizations for instructional designers, Association for Training and Development, they just published a special article on escape rooms used in the corporate scenarios or work scenarios as well. So escape rooms, everyone is seeming interested in educational escape rooms at all types of learning with that. So now that you have seen a few, I want you to fasten your safety glasses and get ready, because we're going to actually participate in escape room demo.
May I ask a question?
Oh, yeah, sure. Please feel free to. You don't have to ask. Yeah, just jump right in. Yes.
Thank you. I'm just curious, from the video that she mentioned, like student apprehension, and I was just wondering if you had any insight as to like what students are most apprehensive about the utilization of escape rooms for course design or learning activity. Like, is it just like that it's unfamiliar, that it like is, you know, like so far away from the traditional like lecture based style of learning, or what specifically the apprehension was surrounding?
Oh, great question. I'm not teaching this term. I'm actually working on a course that I could teach at Rush. But I have used this with K-12 students and K-12 faculty as well in professional development. With that, not everyone likes gaming. You know, it's like people say, oh, well, Gen X or the millennials and they love gaming, but that's an oversimplification with that. As much as I like technology, I'm not a big gamer. I mean, I get into game design because of the educational practice. As an instructional designer, I had a game design team when I was a teacher for that purpose, to help the kids learn and introduce them to it as a career. The other thing that I would think, and that I would caution folks on in creating these, is not get so into the puzzles and the locks and everything, where it seems to take away from the focus on the learning objectives. So one of the things you'll see oftentimes in these escape rooms are these actual physical locks. Well, do you really have something that's locked up that you have to find a code for, in the clinical site, at the bedside, or in the operating room, or, in your office, or, wherever. So I think that could be part of the issue too. Why do I have to decipher a code that is not related to the topic? And that's why I really think that being in the simulation room is good, because you have all the monitors and you can simulate authentic resources that they would see out in the clinical field in their actual practice. So, you based on, instead of using a lock, you have to, order the right test or look at the right reading on a monitor, to know what to do next and to escape. So that's, I think, part of that. Did that answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Anyone else have anything to add to that or take away? Okay, so now we're going to really get into the meat of today. I really wanted to make sure that everyone had a chance to participate in at least a micro demonstration of a educational escape room. And this was pretty interesting for me. I was thinking, as a non-clinical person, what could I develop that I would have some decent knowledge of and can find information on that we could do in a short time. Is some of these breakout or excuse me, escape room activities would take a whole hour. You'll see that's kind of like the common reference as far as typical time. But we don't have a whole hour just to do the demo. So I'm like, what can I do? Is like a 10-minute demo that is somewhat clinical that I could do. And I was like, oh yeah, I've had CPR training, and more importantly, the American Heart Association just came out with their 2020 uh, update of their guidelines for CPR and emergency cardiovascular care. The ECC just came out in October 2020, so this is very relevant. They've made some significant changes. Um, there's a link here in the right here. Go to my laser pointer. Here, if you click on this, you'll see the highlight of those guidelines, and they show the evidence base of why they changed the guidelines for where they did change them, etc. So this opportunity is going to place you in an educational escape room where you are at a sporting event and you have on your Rush badge or logo, and it's oh, someone has collapsed, you got the Rush logo on you, you must know what to do. And so can you please help us with this individual? And so what we're going to do is I'm going to put you all in breakout rooms, probably keep it pretty small, like 2 or 3 people per room, or 3 or 4, we'll see. Um, and then you'll have, I guess I'll give a few minutes, probably 10 minutes to see you go through. I don't know if everyone knows CPR, but as a hint, if you click on this link, and I will put it in the chat so that everyone has it. You can refer to this tool or this guide, actually. And I'm going to, so I put that link to this in the chat. Maybe something you want to keep and share as well with that. And so, and the educational experience like any other simulation. And I like to think of this type of activity like case studies and other as the 0 level of simulation, if you will. So you may be familiar with the other 3 levels of simulation. I subscribe to that. Case studies or role playing, things of this nature are at the 0 level, something you can do without a lot of technology or tools, etc. So you can scroll through this in your leisure, but I do want to cover, let you know, this, can everyone see the screen as well? Do I need to make it larger? Everyone see this okay, this diagram?
I can see it.
Okay, great, thanks. So this digital escape room is based on this algorithm that the AHA has revised for layperson response to opioid-associated emergencies. So, which is different than what they have for an actual healthcare provider. But I wanted to use the layperson one because people may not be on the clinical side in the session, or may have been a while since they've done or facilitated opioid-associated emergencies or CPR with that. So you have the link with the team. So while I set up the breakout rooms, go ahead and click on the link, get familiar with it, get it loaded up. And then I will put the link in for the tool once I set up the breakout rooms. Then I'll send you to the breakout rooms What you may want to do in the breakout rooms, even though everyone has a link, we'll have the link to the escape room. You may want one person in your group to share their screen so you can work on it. So you only have to submit one, you work on it as a team. If some reason you don't want to work in a team, you can private chat me. Can address that as well confidentially. But ideally, we want to do this in the team. And again, I'm a non-clinician, so this may be very basic. You might all could do this in 2 minutes, but I'll give 10 just so you can see and discuss and critique, and look forward to your feedback on that. Any questions before we get started? Okay. So you have that link. I'm going to stop screen sharing now. And I need to count, see how many people we had. We have 11 participants, so I'll do 4 rooms. How was that? Actually, why don't I just do 2? That way if someone has to leave early, I'll do that. So just so you know what I'm going to do in Zoom, I'm going to do an automatic room. So I'm not doing any assignments, but you could obviously assign people to make sure that not all of the cardiologists are in the same room for this CPR activity with that. And so I will go ahead and paste the link to this activity, and then I will send you to your breakout rooms. So everyone should see in the chat that the link to the AAA, American Heart Association's 2020 highlights with that algorithm flow chart that will be helpful for you for this activity. So review that. And then everyone should see the link to the digital escape room. And I'll talk more about it after that when we debrief. Okay, so you're gonna have about 10 minutes. And if there aren't any other questions, I'm gonna send you to your breakout rooms. Any questions? Cynical remarks. Okay, here we go. 1, 2, 3. With that, so everyone should be back in the room now. With that, okay. Oh, okay, good question. Chris has said, Brandon, what was the purpose of the last step putting in your phone number? That last question was actually so that you would put the number in. I have to make sure you did it as a record, have the number in and follow directions, because it says to put it in the exact format with the dots. I have a quiz version of this as well, and we can talk about that. So what you all participated in this demo was the survey, Microsoft Form survey, but I also have a Microsoft Form quiz where you would get points. So if you entered in the wrong number in the wrong format, you wouldn't necessarily get the points for that. So that was the rationale for that. So now let's go. I'll put on my safety glasses. Let's get the feedback. I want to the good, the bad, the ugly, etc. What did you all think? And feel free to be as honest. Like I said, this is a draft, and just want to help you.
Brandon, if you don't mind, I would like to see more of Natasha's escape room, just to have another comparison and another example here. Could we look at that again?
Oh yeah, sure. Natasha, did you want to share your
Yeah.
break room? That's a great idea, Matt.
And Brandon, I'd say too, one of the things I liked is, like the audio and the pictures and stuff. It obviously made it made it engaging and sort of fun, like your all the audio things that were happening, it was dramatic. So we were all kind of laughing along the way, like, ooh, how dramatic this opened or this happened, so that was definitely, it made what can be dry material a little bit more fun to go through.
And I will say mine is more individual focused. I guess you could make it a group one, but I feel like yours with the audio and all the visuals, it just like working as a team was like, we work together, right? Like, so I shared the screen and like asked the questions and other people were like looking at the materials and there was like collaboration. So I liked it as like a group sort of setup too. That was cool.
Thanks. Natasha, did you want to share or did we want to?
Yeah, so
Okay, great.
so you can see it right now?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So
Yes, we
basically
can see it, yes.
yeah, is we would give them this link. Becky is Dr. Ozelli. So basically it tells them, the student, that you've been locked in the lab and have 2 hours to escape. And check out the whiteboard to start your journey. So it says, can you both escape before time runs out? Start the clock and then click here. So then you basically would start the clock. It would start at 2 hours. And then they would click here and that would sort of give them directions for how to do it. The door is locked. And so this is basically the lock. And so they'd have to click on that and get the final code, which they would only be able to get through continuing through this. So I sort of did something similar to Brandon where whenever they were able to complete, so firstly, this is Becky talking. And then whenever they completed something and answered questions, they would get a hint like Brandon did, where it's like, okay, the first letter is, X. And so they would record that and then just go around the room, and there's scenarios that help lead them to know which item to go to. But I will say the one thing I didn't do as much of that Brandon did was like more of the drama and like the videos and making it more of like an escape room that you would go to, that you would pay money to go to. Mine was more of, I was leveraging, I think, this like elementary school music teacher who like had a YouTube video on how she made hers. So it's a lot more, it's not as dramatic as I would say Brandon's is.
Natasha, I really like the feel of your landing page here. It really gives you the persona or the essence that you're kind of in a room, right? And searching through all these various things.
Right.
Would this template be something that you would be willing to share? I mean, it seems like if it's a template, it would be easy to kind of modify the questions on the back end and maybe change an image here or there, and then could be used for, a completely different scenario.
Yeah, so I also can send you the teacher, let me see if I can find the YouTube video.
One of the things too to note about that room she made, that is like almost an exact replica of what our OT lab actually looks like. So when the students see it, they're gonna like enjoy it extra, because that's like where she placed all the items. That's exactly what our lab looks like. And we can't drink in our lab. And, there's all these like funny little inside jokes she put within the room. The skeleton always wears a stocking hat. Like there's certain, the splint pans always overheat, so she has these funny little things within them to,
So this was the video that I looked at though. So this woman, she's a music teacher, and basically she tells you exactly like how you start off making, let's see here. I can just get to the part where she just starts creating it.
So
okay,
you have put a lot of blood, sweat,
Can
and
you
tears
put the
into
link
this.
to that?
I'm curious,
Yeah,
how long did it take?
I'm still in the process of working. It's taken a while. It's definitely, I think like she says you can do this in 4 hours. So it just depends on like how much time you want to invest in it and like how many questions you want to do. So I think, I don't know, I've just continued working on it every single day for a few hours. But here's the link to this video. And then she shares so basically she tells you how you insert items in here, and then you can put your Bitmoji, which is like a cartoon version of you in here. And then there's, she shows you how you can create forms, and then you can hyperlink them to and she shows you right here, she shows you how you can hyperlink those forms directly to the objects in the room.
Natasha, this is so awesome. I'm so excited for you and Becky to be able to implement this.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, it's really nice, Natasha. Very nice.
I appreciate it. So that's the first one. I would say that first video is a good first step. And then once you create that, this one the second link shows you how you can do it in Google Sites, which is just a more protected version so the students can't cheat like they could if they like went online and found stuff for just using Google Sites. So
Oh, that's
yeah.
great. And thank you for sharing that link. I will share the link as well for the Microsoft Forum. So we've got about 5 minutes left. Any other feedback, something to consider changing or that needs to be changed? Or I know the questions were, like I said, I'm not clinical, so I know those were pretty low level questions, but they could obviously be, you know, board type questions and TBL type questions with that. Any other comments? Because I do want to share a couple other resources with you before we break.
No, thanks for making it, Brandon. That was fun to see.
Okay, so I will go back to sharing my screen quickly to wrap up. And so I will refresh my screen so we could just see. So one of the nice things too, you can see how many responses. Let me turn on my laser pointer. Responses in average time, which was interesting. Then you can go in, I won't do it now, I won't compare the times, but you can go in and see the individual by clicking review results. You get some charts here. The charts for this particular activity aren't as helpful because I had a branching scenario to follow the algorithm. So not everyone went the same route, but they did get the same exact questions and videos and everything. So the charts are a little off because of the branching, but if you just had a non-branching scenario, you could get a really good idea visually with that, and then you can save it to Excel. So what I'd like to do next is just to share with you a few resources with this. So I'll just go over them. I won't open all of them. But Laravel Simulation has a really nice escape room resources, which includes this workbook. And I will show you this quickly. So I kind of did this the wrong way. I'm just, you know, being honest with you. I actually drafted this first and then went back and filled in the workbook. But I was on track and was familiar enough with it. But they have this escape room workbook, simulation escape room workbook. And even if you're not doing a simulation one, I think this is still very helpful. These are kind of like the chapters. So planning, designing, facility briefing. So I'll just briefly scroll through. So these are the essential pillars for creating any type of escape room, really, even though this is simulation. But you know who your participants are, definitely the learning objectives, the themes of the story, the puzzles. And again, I mentioned it earlier, but you want to make sure in your escape rooms that the focus isn't so much on the puzzles, you know, especially if they're not related to the content area. You know, a lot of people use these lock boxes, but again, you have a lock box in the hospital or the clinical site, you know, with that. Here's some of the evidence here. I want to get to the parts where actually filled in. So again, objectives, I'll fill those in this document. You'll have access to that from the SWAY. Outline your grid, you know, to outline your escape room. Here's a little checklist. I've annotated it for like what I did here. You have the link to the clear one too, but just so you have an example of a worked out one. This one is kind of small, but it was basically just brainstorming. So in this scenario, there are actually a number of different CPR scenarios, depending on if the person is pregnant or not, or if it's a pediatric patient. This, want to point this out in the last minute and a half. Uh, it says to avoid arithmetic, but I think in healthcare, a lot of what we do is arithmetic. So I would friendly disagree with this one. I'm not sure if I would avoid arithmetic puzzles. You might need to look at a real chart to, base or some other calculation. Um, and I won't go through all of this, but this is available for you. It's a nice tool. The key to escape rooms, because essentially escape room is essentially a quiz or activity that's time sensitive. That's the difference between that and the regular quiz, because you could have all the dramatic stuff, vignettes and stuff like that in a regular quiz, but something that is realistically time sensitive is the key with that. And so in closing, again, I can go back up to the top here so that you can get the QR code. For that, if you scan this QR code, you'll have the link to this sway with all the resources in it. And again, as I update it, you'll have access to the updated content. So you may want to take pictures if your camera isn't working or you don't have it. I will also paste this in the chat as well to the for that. Any last minute comments, cynical remarks, recommendations? So I just pasted a link to this way. Okay. Well, as always, we know you have a choice in who you choose for your professional development. So we thank you for choosing the Center for Teaching Excellence and Innovation, also known as CTEI. You can feel free to reach out to us at city@rush.edu. My direct email address is Brandon_Taylor, and that's Brandon, like on, Brandon, _Taylor@rush.edu. And I'd be glad to hang on. It's 12 o'clock, so no people have to go. But if there are some people that want to hang around, I can do that too for a second. I'm going to stop the recording now. Thank you again. I thought I was only going to have a VIP session of just one person, but I had an even larger VIP session with the university town hall being added later after this was scheduled. Thank you. Have happy holidays, time off. Be safe, be well.
Thank you, Brandon.
You're welcome. Take care, everyone.
Thanks.